Okay, so this is what the stamp set looks like. It's called Watercolor Shapes. And for those of us in New Zealand or Europe, wherever you are, please note that it is spelled the American way. And even in the catalog and in the online store, it is spelled that way. So if you're doing a search. However, under this video, I did put a link. And I'm also going to use tonight, because as you can see, there's no words with this stamp set. So I thought I'll just pick out one other word set, and it's called One Happy Family. And it's easy to overlook this one depending on what sort of stage of life you're in, because there's a few words here about birth and pregnancy and a new baby. But even if those aren't of interest to you, there's 80% of them are otherwise, and they're quite nice, and they're quite a cute little set with fun fonts. So we're going to use that tonight. All right, so I'm going to make with you, I think I'm just going to make my project. I'll make sure I'm in the screen. Make my project, and then I'll show you the finished one. So this stamp set is photopolymer, so you will want to use a stamp mat with it. And I stamped the words first, and that is from that Happy Family set. And I think that I love your kind heart is just such a nice thing to say on a card. I would love to receive a card that said something like that. And then we're going to use the large circle out of that Watercolor Shapes set, and we'll use crumb cake for that. Now my crumb cake ink pad, this particular one is not overly dark. So like I was saying earlier, you might just want to give it a test run to see if it's the intensity of color that you want, or if it's too dark, or if you need to stamp it off first. Okay, then we're going to use this set over top. So it's created this nice background. I see that in the video you're not seeing the middle, but it has stamped. However, I will point out, let me find the stamp set again, it won't stamp like a solid shape. It's going to have some light and dark to it. There's a word that I just can't quite think, but it's designed to stamp that way so that there is some shading to it. That's not the right word, but I think you know what I mean. So on top of that, I'm going to use this stamp set called Valentine's Keepsakes. And I know that in New Zealand we tend to overlook these ones, but they have this really cute little heart flower image that I thought was adorable and really wanted that one. So I'm going to use that one, and I'm going to color that up, and I'm going to use my markers so that they're not all the same color. And I'm going to use Old Olive on the stems, and then Rich Razzleberry on the hearts. And while I'm coloring those, I will remind everyone that if there's a project that I'm doing or that I show you at the end that you really like, always feel free to request that we do that in a class, or if I don't see you regularly for classes, you can book me in for a class, and I'd love to come and teach you. And then we're going to stamp that, and I want it to kind of come off the circle. Well, that's what I'm saying. I should make sure that I am. Yep. I got that. I like that it comes down off the circle, but you might have worked out by now. I like things to not be completely symmetrical and within their box. If you do, then that's totally cool too. So, and then I'm going to emboss this, and I couldn't do that first, so I'm just going to use the Tasteful textile folder. So that's now just got a little bit of a texture on it. And I did stamp this off to the right-hand side on purpose, in case you're wondering. And then I'm going to use my scissors and mount that onto some Rich Razzleberry. I'm just going to rough up the edges like this. Some of you may still have a little tool that we used to have to rough up the edges. Or you could even just keep, your old blades that don't work very well and do that anyway. You could use those. In any case, it's just a way to add some texture without any extra tools. And then I'm going to put that onto a crumb cake base. I'm going to use my crumb cake ink pad and just sponge around the edges of this. Now before we put that on, I'm just going to do my ribbon, and I'm using our gold ribbon. Let me find my good scissors. And so I'm going to clip it so it's just longer than my project, and tape it over the back. When I was playing with this stamp set this afternoon, I had so many ideas and so many things that I wanted to do. I just ran out of time, really. But the things that I'm going to show you, this project is very simple and straightforward. Oops. And then, but there's so many things that you can do with this one. So hopefully with the samples and things, it will get your creativity going and thinking. Okay, and then we'll put that on like that. Then we need another piece of our gold ribbon. Now, one thing about gold ribbon, as a side note, metallic thread is wire basically, so these ribbons are not as soft as others, so they have more body. So this is going to stay more in a bow shape rather than draping down. It's neither good nor bad, it's just a property of that particular ribbon. And then I want to use my champagne rhinestones. I love these rhinestones. They're like, I've said it before, they're like magical because they kind of match everything, any color that you're using. So you want them to not all be in a row. And I'm going to do one more thing to the front, but before I do, I'm going to stamp the inside of the card. And in this stamp set, there's a little, sorry, I keep going off the camera, there's a little like corner image. Sorry, that was probably right in the shine. Little corner image. And I'm going to use my markers again and just color the little flowers, the rich raspberry, and the little dots, the old olive. Very cute. And stamp that like that, and then do another one. You could do another one in the bottom corner or do it in the opposite corner, which I think that's what I'll do here. And then we'll go ahead and put that onto our rich raspberry mat again, which I already roughed up the edges on that. And then we'll put that inside our card. Now, one thing I've been using in my classes recently, is the crystal shimmer, shimmery crystal effects. And I'm going to show you how that goes on. Basically, it's like a lacquer. And it goes on kind of goopy, but as it dries, it will settle down into a nice shiny pool of wonderful shininess. And I'll show you a finished one. But one thing to know about this, it's not expensive and it will last for a long, long time. Like it would take you a long time to get through the whole bottle. But it takes hours and hours to dry. Like I would say minimum 2 hours, maximum, well, I don't know, just leave it overnight. But it's not the kind of thing you want to necessarily do when you're in a rush. So if you leave it overnight though, you'll get this wonderful shine to your project. And I'll grab one that I did earlier. Let's see if you can see that. I think so. Anyway, it's got this really great lacquer effect to it, and that particular one's got little bits of glitter in it, so it's got a little hint of a sparkle too. Let me show you some other samples though using this stamp set. So first wanted to just point out this one here, this oval, coordinates perfectly with our double oval punch. This one is a great one to have in your stash for your words. You've got a solid oval and a scalloped oval for layering, and that stamp fits nicely in there, so you can stamp a nice little background and put that on your scalloped and stamp your words, so you can get a nice little colored background for your words. This is the first one that I did, so this one also is reasonably simple. I just stamped the large rectangle stamp, Then hopefully you can see that I used the Stitched with Whimsy die within that rectangle. And then I just used some leftover die cuts. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has like containers of just leftover bits and pieces. So I just grabbed some stuff that I had already cut, used the words from that One Happy Family stamp set again. I thought, isn't that just a cute little font? It looks like somebody hand wrote that, which, I mean, we stamp so that we don't use our handwriting, and then we stamp ones that look like handwriting, which is kind of funny, but I think it's really cute. It's simple, it's clean, it's fresh, it's nice, and then your linen thread just adds that dimension. This is the second one that I did, and this one took me lots of tries, but I think I finally got it. I'll just move those. Got it where I was happy with it. And this one, I used that same large circle. I've inked it up in So Saffron, and then I used a sponge dauber and sponged pale papaya around the edges. So you get this nice mix of pale papaya, which is a light orange, with So Saffron, which is a light yellow, and you get this kind of unique look. And then I complemented it with the purple, because if you know your color wheel, yellow and purple are opposites. So I used the Fresh Freesia and use that new Shimmer vellum. So these little butterflies are very, very shimmery. Hopefully you can see that. And again, words from our One Happy Family stamp set. And then just some little splatter stamps. Now these butterflies are from the Quiet Meadow, which I'm going to use on this sample. The Quiet Meadow is put more prominently these beautiful silhouette flowers, but there's also the little butterfly in there too. So this one I took the very smallest rectangle, well, not actually, the medium-sized rectangle, and I stamped it in Pool Party and then just kept stamping till it ran out of ink. And then I stamped it in Soft Succulent and then just kept stamping till it ran out of ink. So you've got some greens and some blues, although they're both, you know, kind of a mix of blue and green. So, and then I used that Shimmer vellum again. This is actually the Evening Evergreen. I know it doesn't look that dark, but it was the Evening Evergreen. So it's very, very shimmery, and just some ribbon and words from the One Happy Family. And then inside, I did kind of the same thing with the Pool Party and then stamped the flower in Soft Succulent. Okay, so that's all my samples using that Watercolor Shapes. Basically, I wanted to show you that it's a nice one for mixing in with the things that you've already got. But if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. So thanks for joining me tonight, everyone. I really appreciate you. Have a good rest of your evening.